Hello from the National Convergence Technology Center. This short video will offer a quick overview of the benefits and logistics of virtual labs, specifically those offered through our National Science Foundation grant. My name is Mark Dempsey, and I'm the Assistant Director of the National CTC. Joining me today will be Ernie Friend and Doug Moore from Florida State College of Jacksonville, and also our CTC grant Principal Investigator and the Healer. So here's how traditional local labs often work. The students in the classroom connect locally to labs via the school's network resources. The hardware can cost up to $120,000, plus you're paying for a lab subscription. It can get costly. But with virtual labs offered by the National Convergence Technology Center, students can connect directly via the internet to a remote network server that provides lab access. This is all free because of our NSF grant. We have 3 colleges that host the virtual labs you and your students can use. Specifically, we have labs available to support A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. Let's quickly run through the benefits. These labs are 100% online, so that removes the need for you to organize or schedule physical classrooms or install and maintain local hardware and software. All students need is a web browser and internet connection. The labs are available 24/7. Another big benefit of these labs is that they provide hands-on experience. We all know that students learn by doing. These labs are designed to be immersive and to mimic common industry systems and interfaces. And finally, these labs are safe and secure. They run off a distant server accessed by the internet. They're not connected to your school's network. With this sort of safe sandbox environment, students are able to experiment, make mistakes, and repeat assignments multiple times. They can proceed at their own pace. So now we provide this very quick overview. Doug and Ernie are going to offer a quick demo of what these virtual labs look like in practice from both the teacher's perspective and the student's perspective.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, as Mark mentioned, these are virtual labs provided by hardware at Florida State College of Jacksonville. A lot of these are pre-canned labs that are written by subject matter experts and then put out as updates to the schools that have the NetLab appliance. The way it works is a teacher will have a class, they will assign students to their class, and then they will assign the accounts to the students. Here, I've got a test student account ready to log in. Once logged in, a student can reserve a lab for themselves. And here you'll see a number of labs in different classes that I have listed here. What I have is I have a test set up for this VMware ICM7 test. And students may only see one class here, 1 or 2 classes, depending on how many classes they're enrolled in. They would select that. And then here are the labs that are available for that pod, for that particular pod. And the beauty of this is they can do this lab one time. If they didn't feel like they got enough out of it, they could schedule the pod again and do the lab over and over again. So they can do it as many times as they want to make sure they understand the concepts. I will just click on the first lab here, and then there will be labs available for the students. So each one of these is a pod that the student can reserve. Students will click under the red line here to schedule a start time, which would be 10:06, currently 10:06, and then an end time of up to about 4 to 4.5 hours later, depending on how extensive the lab is. Reservation is scheduled. I can click OK. I had one already scheduled, but here's the one to start at 10:07 and end at 1300. Students would then enter the lab. And this takes a couple of seconds to spin up because they are real machines. This is not a simulation in any way. So these are industry standard virtual machines powering up in the background. And you see here we have a topology. So all of these machines are available to the students. You can see this is a complex network. We have actual 3 networks here available and 5 different machines for the students to demo, to go in and do their labs. You can access each one of the VMs by clicking the top here, and it'll bring you to the console of each one of the VMs. Or you can go just to the topology and click on VM directly. So if I were to go to topology and say I want to go to the SAVCSA, I can click right on it and it'll take me to the console of that. And with that, what we do is we go to the content here. So this is your lab content, and the students would actually read through this content. You can actually pop this out to open up into a new window. As you see, I have the lab open on the left here, and it shows the topology. So students would just run through this lab. It'll show the topology. It'll show all the passwords, the account names and passwords. And then, you'll run through, launch as a student, log in, and then those students will continue to go through the steps of the lab. The beauty of this is they're all sandboxed too. So the students there's no fear of the student going out to the internet and, navigating to some nefarious sites or anything like that. This is all self-contained. And so if a student messes the pod up, anything, they can just shut it down and schedule a new one and start all over again.
Yeah, so just want to highlight a few things that that Doug mentioned. One of the big advantages of using a virtual interface for labs is that students have access to it 24 hours a day, which was already mentioned. I think one of the nice things about it as well, from the instructor standpoint or the teacher standpoint, is that if a student's having a problem, all they have to do is go out and come back in, and everything gets reset. So, it's not a whole lot of management from the teacher or the other faculty's perspective with these kind of labs, because they reset themselves. And I think, something really important to take note of is in some of the labs, and this one in particular, a student could have access to over $100,000 worth of hardware and software virtually. If you had to do that in the classroom, imagine having $100,000 worth of hardware and software for every student in your class at one time. That'd be very expensive. But when you virtualize it, you can give access to, literally hundreds of people. You can give them access to their very own pod of, very expensive equipment and software. So that's certainly one of the big advantages. It makes it really easy to, from the teacher standpoint, although, it may have looked a little complex getting in. It's really a simple process. The students just log in and they have access to whatever pod that they're given for that particular lab. So certainly easier to maintain, much cheaper across multiple students, and good value for the school or the organization if they want to purchase a virtual appliance.
And this is Ann Beheeler. I'd like to ask a few questions of you just to clarify for our high school participants. What is the cost, Mark, of these labs?
Well, it's zero because of the grant. It's all funded by the NSF grant. So what usually happens is, you'll contact me with what you want, what kind of labs you want, how many students you have. I'll work with someone like Doug. We have two other schools like Florida State College, Jacksonville, providing these labs. But I will connect you with Doug and work out the way. He'll give you the passwords and the access, and then you're off and running. So there's no cost at all.
So what if we were having a high school that is teaching A+, Net+, and Security+? Can they do all three classes on our free labs?
As long as there's capacity and there's room, yeah, we've done it before. There's colleges who've done a couple of different classes at once, so that should not be a problem. I also want to point out, just because we have an A+ class, A+ lab doesn't mean you're going to be teaching A+. So these labs have all kinds of goals and lessons. So if there's something from the Security+ lab that you want to teach in your generic IT class, feel free to use it. You don't have to be beholden to teach the official Security+ content to use the Security+ labs. They're sort of there for you to use however you want to in the classroom.
And Doug, how many times can a student do a lab?
Yeah, this is Ernie Friend. So students can do the labs multiple times. There's really no limit. So if they try it once and didn't make sense, they can try it multiple times. There can be, there could be a limit if that's the way that the teacher wanted, or it could be unlimited tries, which is one of the nice things about NetLab. It's open 24 hours a day, and students could try it and use it 24 hours a day and do the labs multiple times.
Yeah, that's actually the beauty of it. If the student gets stuck or if they misconfigure something and the lab maybe doesn't align to the actual lab content, they may have had a typo in there, they may have misconfigured something. they can simply step out in the reservation and then restart the reservation, restart the lab brand new from the start.
And is it true that the student can use these labs from the high school and then they could also go home and use the labs from their home computer if they had such a setup?
Absolutely. Anywhere they have internet access, a computer and a web browser, they can access these labs.
I can see a benefit of that too, because one of the things that could happen is they might have a parent at home who might actually know a little bit about these subjects and might be able to assist them to help them be more successful in their class.
Absolutely. And it doesn't take a powerful machine for the students. You can access it from a Chromebook, anywhere from a browser, because all of the processing is done on the server located at the hosting college. So none of the processing is done on the student's machine.
So is the interface sort of the same for the teacher? Are you able to show us what the teacher would be seeing on their side?
Sure, I'll log in as a teacher. I'm going to
Okay.
leave the student logged in
Okay.
or the reservation going, because I want to show you one aspect of the
Okay,
student.
sure.
So I'm going to log out as the student, and then I'm going to log in as test teacher. As a teacher of the course, you can actually share the pod with a student. So I was logged in as test student. You can see the user test student is logged in. This is the pod they're on. I can join in that student's lab and actually share the console with a student. So if a student is having trouble, they can contact their teacher, and the teachers, will log in, make a reservation, and let's go through the concepts together. As a faculty, as a teacher, you can go in and manage your class and actually see the usage. So if you wanted to see what your students are doing, how many labs are doing, I go in here to accounts. I'm under my class, go to accounts. I can select the class and then select students and submit. And you can see test student, he's made 8 reservations. He attended 6 labs, and he spent 14.61 hours in there completing labs. So it's a way of collecting metrics on your students to make sure your students are actually doing the assigned labs as well.
We would welcome high schools joining in on with us and sharing in this free resource.
All right, just to recap what we discussed, virtual labs, they are 100% online. They're available 24/7 to students anywhere as long as they have an internet connection. It offers great immersive hands-on experience and safe and secure. It's a sandbox environment. They can't break anything. They can do as many times as they would like. We offer labs to support A+, Security+, and Network+. You don't have to be teaching those classes to get access to the labs. If you have a class that those labs would make sense, we want to support you with that. If you're interested, write to me, mdempsey@collin.edu. Let me know what you're interested in, how many students you have. We'll get you set up with the connection. All right, so thank you to our guest speakers and to you for joining us.